We will record. Okay, well, welcome to DES 109. This is our last week for Mod 1. I go ahead and introduce myself over the video. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining me. We are going to be talking about web portfolios today, and I was just informed that this is not the first time that you've been introduced to this, so hopefully this will all be a refresher course. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video, and we will jump right into our lecture. First thing I want to do is talk about what is due this week. This is kind of our wrap-up week as far as work that you need to get done, any late work that you have to get done. Are there any questions about assignments, about deadlines, anything that you need to know before we jump into our housework for, or housekeeping for this week? Okay, so if not, we will just continue to move forward. All right, have any of you had a chance to look ahead to see what we're going to be doing this week for our final project? For our assessment 4 and our assignment 4. Some of you might be pleasantly surprised. Okay, perfect. So can you tell me, Lori, what we're doing? What is our week 4 assignment? Exactly, finishing the poster and making a portfolio on Behance. Thank you. So week 4 assignment, set up your online professional portfolio. We can't emphasize this enough that if you want a job after you graduate, you've got to have a portfolio. And nowadays, gone are the days of the actual hard copy that you bring to an interview or to a meeting. It's all online. Employers just want a link to your portfolio from online. Number one, it shows them that you're savvy, web savvy, and then two, it also is a quick way to look up your information or your, I guess, your work that you feature from anywhere remotely. So it could be in an office or it could be in a coffee shop if someone's looking at home. Whatever it is, they can access your work very easily. And this is a way to showcase what you have done over your college career and also what you can do, what you're capable of, and if your skill set fits the credentials that they're looking for. So this is very important. This is what gets you a job. And so if you have had it before, I kind of laugh about that because they're just really trying to emphasize the importance of it. So, and if anything, it just should be an easy assignment for you if you've already had it. So learning objectives this week, we're going to utilize graphic design tool sets to edit and compose graphics for professional portfolio presentation. So in this assessment, in our week 4 assignment, your assessment's going to be will be requiring you to create your own personal online portfolio space. You're going to be uploading a design project to it, and this is relevant to your career as a professional graphic designer because, as we have seen in discussion this week, one of the key elements to being a successful professional designer is having a design presence so that you can be found by clients or reviewed by potential employers, okay? So we've just kind of, all the work that we've been working on, fine-tuning our work and the resubmissions, this should all lead to portfolio-worthy projects. Now, that's not to say that every project we've done should be on your portfolio. Just pick your best work from your classes and feature that, okay? So that's what we're going to be doing for assignment 4. We're going to be setting this up. There's a lot of questions that you can considering that will kind of help ensure that you're presenting your best work possible. So 3 questions that you might want to ask yourself is this work free from spelling errors, and does it contain high resolution imagery, no pixelated stuff, no low res images? We want things to be clear and crisp. And then number 2, is there an element of this piece that's particularly important? And if so, how can you show a variety of views that showcase this element? So that's kind of what I want you to focus on. Number 3, would it make sense to include a physical mock-up of this piece to give it better context for anyone from the outside looking in? If you want someone to better understand what this is all about. So if you're creating a poster and you feel like it's really better represented as a hard copy, then you can kind of print out a smaller version of that. But we really want to focus on the online portion of this. So when you considered all of these questions and kind of adjusted your work accordingly, you should have a finalized design piece. And then you're going to be ready to upload it to your own portfolio. So if you already have a portfolio set up, great, that's half the battle. And then following this process, we're going to ensure that you only put work into your portfolio that is complete and professional. So we really want to emphasize that. Again, not every project should be on your portfolio, just the best of the best, okay? Your FPA has valuable professional experience, and so they're going to guide you in the decisions of what to include, what not to include. Following this process, this will kind of ensure upon graduation that you have a good assortment of projects to showcase your skills and your creativity. So that's why we're emphasizing this. A lot of students will kind of skirt by, and in the past, we've not had these classes that emphasize portfolio design, and then when they graduate, they don't have anything to show their potential employers. So then they're kind of left to hang. So we're really trying to help you, kind of launch you, kind of think of it as a springboard. We're just kind of launch you out there, but we want you armed with every possible effective reason to be hired. So assignment instructions. First, you're going to create your Behance site. You're going to use your name. Today, we're going to be going over lots of free portfolio websites that you could create if you aren't feeling like Behance, but Behance for this assignment does need to be used. You will complete your written profile and upload a picture of your profile. Be sure to make sure all elements look and sound professional. So even the picture of yourself, you probably don't want it to be like a selfie, or if you know, not dressed your best. You really want this to look professional. You want to make sure what's in the background is professional as well. With me, the last time I had to submit a professional portrait, you've really got to be mindful of what's in the background, who's in there with you. You just want it to be a picture of you, okay? Does it have to be a personal picture? It does have to be a picture of you. Now, it could be an illustration of yourself. That would be cool if you created that. It could be a picture that you took, if you know, have a camera, if you're a photographer, or if that's in your skill set. But it does have to be a personal picture. Yeah, definitely. We need to be able to put a name with the face. The employer wants to see that. And then next you want to use, that's a great question though. Next you want to use your revised poster, which you created for assessment 4 as your first portfolio upload piece. So you're going to take those changes and feedback that I gave you. You're going to make those changes, and then that's going to be your final piece. So I guess the good news is, if you've already made your changes to the poster and resubmitted it, you not only get more credit going back to assignment 3, if you resubmit it under your assignment 3, you also, it counts towards your final grade or final assessment, and then you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. So as your first portfolio upload piece, and then you're going to consider the 3 questions that we just talked about to ensure that your work is portfolio quality. And then be sure to use the skills and the tools at your disposal to not only edit, but to compose your work so it's professional in presentation. Okay, and what we're going to do is, I see people are signing in the, apologize, the video is coming on. I'm going to see if I can change that setting. 1 second. Doesn't appear to let me do that, so we'll just have to. Hey, thanks for joining us, Christina. Okay, so we're just wrapping up what assessment or assignment 4 is going to be. Number 3. Oh, whoops! Oh, forgot to mention your instructor, which is me. You're going to be demonstrating how to. I'll be showing you how to like create the mock-up in the live session based off of the poster design that we did. We're going to do a lot of other things. I'll show you a few other graphic illustrations that you can do, and I'm going to help you set up your Behance site if you haven't already done that. So if you're joining me and you already have a Behance site, then you probably might, you know, tune out unless, but we're going to be talking about certain things that you can add to your Behance site to make it a little bit more helpful to create more of a perfect design portfolio, okay? Let's see. When you're finished, I want you to submit the URL to your Behance site in the assignment comments. In addition, you need to email the link to your FPA and copy me. Okay, so CC me, your instructor, and then if you don't know who your FPA is, please let me know ASAP. I can get you in connection with them, but it's very important that you know who that is and that you copy them and email them. All right. Any questions? I know the trampoline is gone. I'm proud to say that it's no longer. I told you week 4 it would be gone. I am so glad it's out of there. We didn't realize how big it was when we set it up, so it was pretty tricky. All right. So, any questions regarding the assignment? No. All right. So, if you do have questions throughout the week, just email me. I'm going to be checking it periodically. This is week 4. If you need more help creating a Behance portfolio, there are lots of links. If you go to the week 4 course media page, they'll be able to show you what you need to know. You're going to take your finished and revised poster from week 4 assessment, and you're going to export it as a JPEG. If you have created a mockup, also export your mockup as a JPEG, and then create a new project for your poster on your Behance site, okay? Upload all images to the project along with a short written description. You really want to talk about the project and what tools you use. I recommend using terminology that we've been using in class, tools that you used, how you achieved that design, and what your inspiration was. And in this case, it was the graphic designer, historical graphic designer. So you really want to kind of talk about that. Submit a link to your Behance URL in the comment area, and then email your FPA and CC me with the info so that I know that you've done that, okay? Like always, please keep your native and working files to create your project just in case you have to go back and make changes later. But this is your portfolio. This is going to be for your capstone course. You're going to need these working files. You're going to need to keep them. So continue with this best practice. It's a good habit to get into because eventually when you're working for a client, they may want to reprint and make changes to an existing project. It happens to me all the time. So I have a hard drive and folders with all my clients' projects and work that I've done for them. And so when they come back a year later saying, hey, remember that thing you designed for me? Do you have that? I really want to make some changes and edits. But why, yes, I do. So it's a great habit to get into. What happens when your granddaughter deletes one? Oops. You'll probably just need to pick something else, or I guess eventually you probably have to redesign it if you need to make changes to it. It's only if you have to go back and change something, or if your FPA wants you to. They'll be kind of spearheading that part. All right. As always, there's task benchmark examples of how to achieve this, what they're looking for. In this case, copying from the samples is considered cheating, so we're not going to be copying the samples this time around. This is your own original work. So use the examples to kind of inform your plan and how you're going to form your plan and create your own work, but we're not going to copy the student examples, okay? We really need to see that you can be original here. And I highly encourage you to take a look at what the samples have to offer, because it kind of shows you how to set it up and what they said. You want to be original, because if you're submitting this and you happen to have a design similar to someone else's, people are going to notice, okay? You want your own original work and you want it to be by you. There's a lot more information about the background of this assignment, why it's important. So if you have more questions about that, please go check that out. Just remember that your portfolio should contain your best work. So it's important that you use the tool sets that you have at your disposal to edit and to compose your work in a way that best showcases it. After all, for the majority of us, we are taking classes so that we can get a job after graduation. And others are doing it as a hobby, or maybe they're just learning something new. But for the majority of us, we really want to get a job in the graphic design industry. So we need to be able to showcase ourselves in the best light. Any questions about assignment 4? We'll continue on more. We'll talk about this quite a bit. I just want to make sure there's no questions. All right, and then we kind of briefly touched on week 4 assessment, learning from the past, part 2. Remember part 1 we covered last week. This, basically, you're going to be interpreting and applying constructive feedback to revise your professional print design piece. So I gave you a lot of feedback during week 3. If you were one of the few who didn't need to make changes, you will submit your final design. But as for those who did get my feedback, please make those changes and make all of them, not just some of them. In this assessment, we really want to focus on interpreting the feedback. Use it to revise the project that we started in week 3. And learn how to interpret the feedback and take critiques. Because when you get into the graphic design industry, you're going to be working with clients, employers, and everyone's going to have something to say about your work. You may think it's perfect the way it is, and that's great, but we really want to focus on what others have to say. So when you conduct these revisions, make sure it's relevant and make sure you complete it in its entirety. So this is very important to your career as a professional graphic designer, because most client work contains much back and forth in the negotiation process, and there's very seldom where you just create one thing and it's perfect. I have to go back several times, but the good news is you get to charge the big bucks for that. So as a professional designer, it's vital that you learn how to ask the right questions and then implement feedback in a way that best supports the mission of your design project, all right? So that's kind of where we're going with this. Assignment instructions for assessment 4. You need to apply the feedback that I gave you on your poster. You're going to update it and then submit it for your final submission. Now, if you make those changes, you might as well resubmit it under your assignment 3 so that it can be regraded and you'll get some points back on assignment 3. I give everybody one chance to resubmit their assignments as long as it's done on time. So that sounds pretty fair, I think. Not every instructor does that, but I feel like it's good practice and it helps you fine-tune your work. And after all, we learn more when we make changes, right? So that's the idea there. So remember, if you can take an extra few minutes and submit it under your assignment 3 as well, then I can go back and give you some points back on that. Sound like a plan? All right, and then the other step 2 for your assignment for assessment 4 is continue to work in Adobe Illustrator or InDesign. We're not doing anything in Photoshop this time around. And then your poster will be your first submission to your Behance portfolio. So you want to be sure that it's professional as possible, okay? Now, if you want any feedback during the week, you're welcome to email it to me. We'll be talking about when we're holding you can even come to the multi-session, and that reminds me to mention the change. But as you're working, return to your mood board as well as the example work and as your inspiration. I saw some of you include swatches on your mood board, but didn't use those swatch colors in your poster design. And that's what you need to go back and change, that we need to make sure everything kind of flows well. So as you're working, I want you to return to your mood board. I want you to continue to work in Illustrator or InDesign, whichever one. And then I want you to take all the comments and the feedback that I gave you in the grade book, and I want you to apply those. All right, you're going to be graded on whether or not you applied all of them. Then I want you to save your file as a PDF. And then this is the week 4 assessment part 2. So this shouldn't take too much time. The feedback should be quickly. So the good news is you're not creating a project from scratch. You're not designing something from scratch unless you missed week 3. But so this should go pretty quickly for you this week. But if you have any questions, let me know. And again, check out those student examples. But again, we can't copy the same layout because you're going to want to make sure your work is original. All right. Any other questions? So let's talk really quick about, I want to show a little video for you guys, and bear with me. Let me get it set up. And I'm going to share the screen. This is a little introduction to what we're going to be talking about. 1 second. Can you guys hear it? Can you see it? Yes? Okay, you can see it. Hold on. You can hear it, but you can't see it. There we go.
This is how the story goes.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm only 13. My worry is that clients may come to either judge or question my skills due to my age. So this is where I call out to you. Should I tell the client, or should I just let my work do the talking?
Ted, first I have to say, I am completely blown away that the fact that you're a 13-year-old designer. Even more incredible is that you've been doing this since you were 10 years old. I didn't even know I wanted to be a graphic designer until I was 18, so you have at least an 8-year head start on somebody like me and a lot of people out there. Let's talk about your question at hand. So you've been able to do freelance work, but you've been shying away from a Skype call or an in-person meeting because they're going to discover really quickly that you're a 13-year-old person. And all the fears and doubts kind of start to pop up. Are they going to pay me less? Are they going to take me less seriously? Are they going to try to bully me or negotiate me into something that's less than?
Business-wise, this all seems like appropriate business.
Rather than hiding behind the fact that you're 13, what I would do is to embrace it. I'm a 13-year-old designer living in the UK, and I love hand lettering and logos. That's a really compelling story. There's a lot of people who are going to want to see you win and support your efforts, as opposed to people who want to tear you down. If a client finds out that you're 13 years old and doesn't want to work with you, well, you don't need those kind of clients. People should judge you by the work that you do, as you have mentioned, not by what you look like or how old you are. Do your best to adopt best practices in design. So when you're talking to a client, have a clear definition of the work, provide them an estimate, and be responsive. And that's the key. Being responsive is totally critical. So when they shoot you an email or they call you at a particular time, and you can define what time those are, like from say 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. you're available, that you're responsive. And that's key. Another thing that you can do to dispel some of the concerns that people might have is to have client testimonials on your website. And you want them to focus on the fact that you're professional, that you're responsive, and you're able to meet deadlines, and you do top level work. If you're going to do a Skype call with a potential client, it would be good if you had a little checklist for your calls. You're probably going to ask them about what their brand stands for, maybe do a little brand definition exercise with them, get to know what the business objective is versus just busting out a cool logo for them. I think that'll help to elevate you on a different platform. Focus your attention on the client, be present with them, and talk to them and engage them in a professional manner. I think you're well on your way. So if you're going to do an in-person meeting, it might be good to have your dad or your mom be present to chaperone you just to make sure everything's okay. I hope you found this video response to be helpful. If there's anything else I can do, hit me up online. I'll be sure to respond. You are a trailblazer, and your future is very bright. Good luck, my friend.
All right, so what did you guys think of that 13-year-old graphic designer? Any thoughts? Pretty cool, huh? The thing with that is, at first you see the work being featured and you're like, that's really cool, that designer's really talented, and then you find out how old that person is. Why did we show this video? It's because when we're going to be talking about web portfolios, we all struggle with the question of what if, like that 13-year-old. What if they find out I'm 13? Are they going to take me seriously? Am I going to get paid as much? We all kind of suffer from doubt when we start out in graphic design. We kind of self-doubt ourselves, but we really need to ask the question, should I embrace who I am? And the question is yes. This is the question one that creative and design entrepreneurs keep asking themselves all the time. And you just need to embrace who you are. And just like when I mentioned putting a personal photo of you up there, embrace who you are. This is you. This is your talent. These are your skills. Be proud of them. And I want you to feature them. And I want you to do it in a way that you have confidence. So we really are. We're our own worst critics. And and no one knows our weaknesses better than ourselves. So what we might think is not very strong, some people might perceive them as strengths. So we just need to have confidence as we move forward, as we put up our work, as we put up pictures of ourselves and we talk about ourselves. And today I'm going to be showing you how to make yourself stand out. So there are many, many portfolio sites out there, numerous ones. We don't have time to cover them all. But what I want to talk about is about 5 of them that are free. So there are other options out there if you feel one speaks to you a little bit differently. For the assignment, though, you do need to use Behance. There's no getting around that because that's what the school requires. But for your own personal one, if you wanted to start a different one, I just want to introduce you to the options that are out there. So we often ask ourselves one question, and that's what are the best free portfolio website or sites on the web? You want to keep in mind that many people every week see portfolios all the time, especially potential employers. So I really want to kind of share with you some options that are out there. I don't know if you've ever heard of Coraflot. Have you guys heard of this? This one got the highest percentage of votes, meaning this was kind of the favorite. This got 36% of the votes for a free website. But back to the question, what's the best portfolio site? You kind of tally up the responses that are provided, and this one came in at 36% of the vote. So basically, there's no surprises here. This is billed as the largest, most established, most diverse pool of professional creative portfolios in the world. No one doubts that this is one massive site. Launched in 1998, Coraflot hosts over 1.4 million creative images for a little over 150,000 graphic designers, or well, not graphic designers, but I guess creatives in the art industry. So there's no membership requirements, which is a good thing. No invites or application processes, but they also have a very nice and well integrated job board. So if you're looking for jobs, even if you're not interested in setting up a portfolio on this website, go there and check out their job board. You can just sign up, and then you'll be able to access hundreds of jobs available, and that's a huge bonus. So, and most of these portfolio sites basically have their own job board. So just go to these sites, and if you're looking for a job or an internship or whatever, this will be the place to go. So this is one of them. This also has a job board. Let's look at one. This is Behance. This is the one the school promotes and really wants you to create a portfolio in. So this is the one we'll be working in. But Behance, many of Behance's 468 online portfolio reviews take place around the world, and this one came in at about 20%. The site's been on the radar for lots of creatives since they've launched in 2006. In fact, it's even more popular today than it was when I started doing my online portfolio, which is just about 10 years ago. So garnishing millions of page views a month, Behance lets you create really stunning portfolio connections that will allow you to kind of network and integrate. They also have their own job board. So if you wanted to go check out the jobs here, just sign up. This is also really cool. Also, they get you connected to the design community via activity feeds. They'll require you, it's really cool because when you sign up, they'll require you to, and you know what, let's just go there now because I want to talk about this a little bit more. This is part of our assignment. We'll just kind of peruse the site a little bit. All right, so let me share the screen. We'll walk you through it a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so as you can see, this is a neat place. So you'll go to their Behance homepage. So everybody log into behance.net if you want to follow along with me. You'll just, it says profile, you'll set up a profile. It'll ask you a question, but what's cool about it is it asks you to pick one interest, one I guess, artistic interests. So it could be graphic design, it could be photography, it could be whatever. So illustration, you'll pick one that interests you. And in this case, I picked graphic design. So it not only links you to this community of active boards, but it also connects you to other graphic designers. You can see work that's being featured. It's actually very, very cool stuff. And then you'll go to your profile here at the top. There's a link that says profile. And you'll click this edit profile button. This will allow you to make edits to all of your personal information. So you can basically put in your first, your last name, what are you, you can put graphic design student, or if you have a job title that is related to the graphic design industry, if you're an intern, you could put that there. You could put the company that you work for, and then this is where you'll put where you're located. All right, and then what's really cool is here on the left, you've got these basic information tabs. You've got teams, or if you're part of a team, you can list that on the web. If you are on Twitter or Facebook, LinkedIn especially is huge. Vimeo, if you have your own personal videos that you want to include, this is a great place to start. There's more Flickr, YouTube, if you have a YouTube channel, Tumblr, Google, Etsy, Instagram. This is a great way for people to follow you. Now, with that said, I wouldn't put your personal Facebook page up here. I wouldn't put your personal Instagram page up here unless anything that's personal, unless you want someone on the outside looking in. Basically, it will no longer be private. You kind of open it up to whoever you send this to. So if you're, if you're taking selfies with somebody at a bar, or you're partying it up, or whatever it is, and you're posting pictures of that, it probably doesn't reflect very professionally. So what I suggest is creating a separate Facebook page, a separate Instagram page, a separate YouTube channel of your own, where that's kind of your professional face that you include, and then just include those links there. So you probably don't want anything that's going to be too personal. You want to maintain a professional face, but people want to see you interacting. So this is a great way to kind of connect this way. And then about me, obviously, is kind of, you'll tell someone about yourself. You want to keep it free from spelling errors. You want to make sure your grammar is correct. You want to talk professionally, pretend this is a formal paper that you're writing, but you also want to kind of have some fun with it as well. Down here, add work experience. You'll click this link and it'll open up a basic template of where you can enter in contact information, personal statements, more work experience. List any awards, any skills. Even if you're, we'll get into this a little bit more, but ask what your areas of expertise are. It doesn't mean just in the graphic design industry. If you, sorry, I swallowed funny. If you have a, say you like to do photography on the side, put that. That's something that sets you apart. So you're a graphic designer that actually knows what to do with a camera. That's huge. Or say you like to illustrate on the side. That's huge too. Or you like to play, you've got, you've kind of dabbled in web design. That's huge. So you really want to list other skill sets that you have. If you know a second language, if you know anything that's going to make you stand out. Because the point of the portfolio is to make you the best candidate. What makes you stand out from all the other hundreds of people who are posting and applying for these jobs? All right. There's custom sections down here if you want to tailor it a little bit more. We'll go back and I'll show you also a way you can add a custom section. I recommend adding a section on goals. What are your goals? Is it to learn web design? Is it to learn how to break into the fashion industry? Is it to master the Adobe suite? What are your goals? So this is a great place where you could add goals. So add a custom section is where I would go up here, add a custom section, and then you can put the title. So I'd put goals, and then description would be a great place to, let's see, master the Adobe CC suite, or learn basic HTML and CSS coding. Another one could be graduate with honors, or or just graduate. And then, you know, it could go on and on. So this is a great place to, so employers want to see that you can set goals, and then they also want to see that you've achieved them. So by placing your goals here, this also makes you look like you're driven, you're motivated. And then, so what's cool about this is it's got a custom section where you can add other tabs that you want to include that would be more personal to you. Web references, this is a great place to include. Everything's online and streaming these days, so you really want to make sure you fill in all the blanks. You don't want to leave anything empty. You'll upload a picture right here. So if I were to click on the upload button, it'll take me to a place where I can upload, and I just grabbed an old picture of me. We'll throw that in there. Kind of move this around if you want to feature, crop and save. There we go. And then you can fill in all the other information, kind of set up your links that way. All right. Are there any questions so far? Pretty straightforward. Nothing new really, unless you're new to Behance. But I also wanted to show you on this job profile, if you click on jobs up here, so signing you up is free. There's no, the only thing you'll have to do is an email confirmation. So you want to put an active email there. But look at this. They have creative jobs, job board, junior graphic designer. I wanted to show you one in particular that was very interesting. It was an internship for Behance, I think. So let me see if I can find it. I was looking at this and I was like, oh, that's perfect for the students. I really wanted to show you if you were interested. So we'll kind of narrow this down. Let's see. I did all creative fields, and we'll see if, oops. Here we go. So Behance has a community experience internship. It's a one-year contract, and this is really cool if you're interested in something full-time. But what's neat about this is it's a full-time paid contracted internship. So from March to April, this is going to build your skill set and kind of help you jumpstart your career in tech. So you'll check out these responsibilities. You don't have to be an expert in anything, just kind of being a bug detective and identifying problems, identifying trends and feedback from, and then you'll suggest improvements. Lots of really cool stuff in the field. You want good attention to detail and understanding of Mac systems, Google, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. Bonus, there's, you know, if you know anything like Keynote or Zendesk, or if you are a current Behance user, which of course you are, and then interest in web design and web development. If that interests you at all, this is a great opportunity. It's a lot of internships are not paid. So the fact that you could get a paid internship, this is huge. So I just wanted to point that out if you're looking, anyone who's looking and interested. Anyways, check out the job board. There's a lot on here. Bath and Body Works is looking for something. Let's see, booking.com. Lots of really cool companies are kind of reaching out to try to find creatives who can help them. Fox, located in LA, that's really cool. So wherever you are located, there, and you can even do a search by your country or by the state that you live in, and it will kind of narrow it down. You could also search by company or creative field. So if you're looking at something in advertising, then you can select that. It will narrow it down. Or character design or cinematography or whatever it is that you're looking for. This is where you want to go. Are there any questions about this? All right, so we'll stop the share here real quick and go back to the slides. We'll kind of talk about those other boards. I'm gonna jump more into Behance in a little bit, but for now, I just want to kind of feature this. And you know, I have another video that I'd like to show you, so I'm gonna go ahead and we'll set up this video real quick. All right, it's kind of long, so we won't watch all of it, but I'll show you, give some good tips for logging into Behance and some other things that you can do to make your portfolio a little bit more successful.
and everything's accurate and up to date. Now, typically, I like to update my portfolio every 2 to 3 months to make sure that everything is up to date and that my clients and people who are visiting my portfolio know what I've been doing in the last couple of months. It's just, it keeps everything fresh, and it gives your clients and people who are looking at your portfolio an idea of what you've been doing. It's also a good idea to make sure that you have all your social media links in there, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever. It's always good to make sure that you have all of them connected to your account, because that in return, that gets you more views, more exposure, and maybe in the end, more clients. Another good thing I like to do is maybe add some like goals that you have, because on my portfolio, I like to, I have this tab section that's labeled goals, and maybe it gives you an idea of what you want to learn, or just what you may need help with. So it's always a good idea to do that. And also you want to make sure that you have a contact tab in there, because you want to make sure that if someone is looking to contact you, you want to make sure that they have immediate contact with you and that they can ensure a response within a reasonable time. So having that in there is definitely important. And maybe just adding your own custom section, whatever it is, recent projects, people you worked with, or just anything else you can really think of. You know, the sky's the limit. But like I said, you know, making sure that everything is up to date, perfect, and everything's accurate, spelled right, and information is all correct. You know, that's a good start to having a good portfolio and a good reputation in the Behance community. Now, when starting a project, it's always a good idea to start posting works in progress in advance. Now, essentially what a work in progress is, it's a snapshot of what you may be working on currently, and it gives your followers and viewers an understanding of what you may be working on, and can get them excited and interested in what you have coming in the near future. Now, a lot of people do use works in progresses, and it's a good thing, but in my opinion, not enough people use this capability, and it's a really powerful tool to get your followers interested and excited, and then in the end, it will get you more views and more appreciations, and because people will be looking forward to it. Now, social media does play a key role in this, and posting it to social media puts you out there more and can get other people that maybe aren't following you interested, and in return, may get you more followers and viewership. So works in progress are definitely a key role in starting a good project. Now, in creating a project, there's actually 2 ways you can go about doing it. There's the standard Behance layout, which is 600 by 600 pixels, and usually consists of single images not stitched together, and it's just one after another, evenly spaced. Now, the other way is the full bleed layout, which is 725 by 1000 pixels, 1 sentence. So it's a good idea to stick in between, 2 to 3 sentences.
All right, so we'll stop there. We'll continue. But I just kind of wanted to show you how to set up that initial page on Behance. All right, so let's go back to the slides. Hopefully this week isn't too terribly difficult. It can kind of be overwhelming when you have a lot to do. All right, so we're talking about how to create the most effective portfolio sites out there. These are free. This is Behance, this is CarbonMade. CarbonMade is actually a really cool website. I actually have my portfolio, or I guess my old portfolio, set up with CarbonMade. And CarbonMade, what's cool about them is that what started out as one designer's frustration at the pain and expense of putting his illustration work online, CarbonMade turned into kind of a home for nearly 400 portfolios. Though it doesn't have the social media bells and whistles that Behance and Coraflot have, the fact that it's a straightforward portfolio site that's just incredibly easy to use, it's fun, and it makes it really appealing. Plus, it's got a unicorn on the landing page, so come on, that's worth bonus points, right? It's kind of funny. So I use this one. CarbonMade offers kind of a meh plan that includes about 5 projects and 35 images for free. Then you can pay to upgrade or do anything else that you want to do with this. Now, I'll show you mine if you want to take a look at it. This is an old one. I actually haven't updated it in quite a bit, but I used to work for an ad agency, and magazines, and so this is what I use to promote my work. So let me pull up the tab. And I'll show you what I did with my work. Now, I kind of cheated a little bit because they'd only let me upload 5 projects. I went into InDesign and Illustrator and I compiled a collage of all my projects and uploaded 5 collages so that it wasn't just one project. So I was, a starving student back then and couldn't afford to do much. So I just tried to make the best with what I had. So in this case, this is the magazine portfolio of the magazines that I designed for, covers, photography, article layouts that I had designed and done. So that's a lot of fun. Any ad campaigns, I also did some stuff for some products. Now, my description, I was very kind of short and sweet, a condensed compilation of design work for editorial publications. You just kind of want to keep it short and sweet because when an employer is looking, they're looking to just kind of, they want to see, that saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. They just want to see they'll know right away if you are what they're looking for, if you've got the skills that they're looking for. So definitely showcase your best work, but also if they want to know more about a particular project that you're posting, like did you design that, or was that a group effort, or did you come up with the concept? Did you initialize concept to design? You just kind of want to be able to explain that in a really short sentence. You don't want to be too wordy as well because they just want to be able to glance. So these are just kind of what I featured under the magazine section. And again, they only allowed you to upload 5 without paying for them. So I just kind of did collages. This was a restaurant. I did a series ads for some restaurants. Lots of fun stuff. Just kind of featuring their work. We did some t-shirt designs for the Susan G. Komen race. That was kind of fun. And then here's another Tex-Mex place that we did some ad designs for, website designs. We did van wraps, so I wanted to include that. Window wraps, I wanted to include that as well. Lots of ads, fun gift cards, and things like that. There's another one, worked for a clothing line. They had these just packaging for a clothes brand for Costco. So we did some of these, kind of simple designs here. But I'm basically highlighting the projects that I've done. This was a bowling alley. So you just kind of want to show a variety. You don't want to show that you're kind of one-dimensional. You really want to be able to showcase what you can do. How did you make it? That way you don't kind of shoehorn yourself into just one kind of a design or one kind of a designer. You want to be able to post a lot of different stuff. So if you're into typography, you want to post that. If you're into illustrations, you'll want to post that. So just kind of break it down into easy groups. But again, this is kind of what I did in Carbon Made. I even had set up another account because I wanted to feature more. These are advertisers that I designed for. So it's kind of listing out people that I've done ads for, other article layouts, lots of fun things here. Health and awareness, lots of categories. And then billboards, we did some fun billboard designs for different companies. So I wanted to kind of showcase this. So instead of just putting my design on here and saying it was for a billboard, I thought it'd be cool to Photoshop the actual ad on a billboard. So this is how I kind of showcase my work, showing that, yeah, I just do billboard designs, lots of different companies. So there's that. Restaurants, digital LED art. This is for digital screens in the restaurant, and lots of fun things there. Kind of featuring food. Worked with restaurants again. So this is basically, a good portion of stuff that I've done in the past. So when I was a student, or even, as in my career, this is, I just kind of saved work that I did and kind of built up over time. So as you're going through school, you're not going to have as much stuff to post, but as you do an internship or even throughout class, you're going to want to make sure that you include this. All right, so that is that on my portfolio. And let's go back to the slides. Okay. So where are we at? Okay, so this is Carbon Made. Carbon Made is cool. This one is Cargo. Cargo is really cool. Cargo offers their members a stunning way to create freestanding personal websites with their own URL, but it comes with a catch. So if you're interested in doing your own URL, this would be kind of one for you, but you must be invited to join. So don't be too disheartened. Cargo awards memberships to a lot of people who contact them and share their work with the staff. So the site is divided into both a front side, which is the public website, and then a back side, which connects them to fellow Cargo members. So that's kind of interesting there. But this is really cool. Another one is called Drivel. And much like Carbon Made, Drivel began as a side project, this time for a guy named Rich Thornett and Dan Cedarholm, one of whom felt he was a pro basketball player trapped in the body of a software developer, which kind of explains the running basketball theme throughout here. But designers share small screenshots of designs and apps that they're working on, which can either be arranged in a portfolio or explored by screenshots that can be grouped by popularity or debuts, new submissions, or even keywords. So users can comment and critique individual pieces, which is a really great, very easy to use site. So we really like the fact that it's user friendly. And remember, you can have several portfolio sites, so you're not just limited to Behance. So Behance is what the school wants you to use, but if you find something that works for you, something that you like to use, you can keep your Behance one even after, and then use a Cargo one. So with so many options and so many people looking for work, we really recommend you getting yourself out there as much as possible. So recruiters actively troll these sites looking for new talent, and it's a really great way to get exposure to more opportunities. So, I mean, I'm sure we've missed a few here, but this is the top 5 that I think are very important. And I do want to jump into creating the perfect design and design portfolio. There's lots of tips out there. But the first thing we want to do is focus on a logo. Do you have a personal logo for yourself? If not, you want to create one. What makes for a good personal portfolio website? Being able to showcase what you can do, even for yourself. So your logo is usually the first thing that a user is going to see. So you want to put your logo at the top of your website so that people can immediately identify who owns that website. And always link your logo to your homepage. You really want to be able to drive web traffic to where you want to direct them. You want to include a breadth of work. How many examples of work should a design portfolio include? That's often a question I get. It's kind of a tricky question, but you should aim to fill at least 20 pages of a physical folio and at least 30 examples for an online space. People nowadays want to see you kind of gravitating into that online space. So you need to be able to show a healthy breadth of work together with a range of applications. So even if you select several examples from a single project, you should make sure that you treat that image individually. All right. So again, you're going to want a tagline. Tagline should be short and snappy. Kind of should summarize what you do in just a sentence or two. Things that you want to ask yourself when you're writing your tagline or even your About Me section in Behance. What are you? What kind of a designer are you? Are you an illustrator, a character cartoon artist? Are you a digital artist, a writer, a developer? What are you and what do you do? Do you design websites? Do you design games? Are you an app designer? And then where are you from? People want to know your location. And then they want to know, are you a freelance worker or do you work for a studio? Are you looking for work? And so this is all important information that you want to include in your tagline or your About Me section. You also want to include appropriate examples for these things. So if you say, yeah, I'm a graphic designer or I'm a videographer or whatever it is that you do, you're going to want to make sure that you include your portfolio features these things. So only include design portfolio examples for a full-time position that are appropriate to the role. So a creative director position, for instance, won't entail much artworking, if any at all. So you want to include work that would demonstrate your tracking and kerning ability isn't really relevant. So just make sure that you kind of tailor it to what you're looking for. Your portfolio, people just want to see your previous work. So you want to display it proudly, and you want to have plenty of examples that show variety and show a different lots of different skill sets. Illustrators and designers aren't just employed for their style, but also for the clarity in which they interpret a creative brief. So if you include examples of your artwork without providing context, it's impossible to judge. So make sure that you use annotations and notes to talk about how and why the work was created. You want to make it clear what the brief asks for in each design portfolio, especially the examples that you include. So just demonstrate how you successfully accomplished it. In the video, he was talking about works in progress. I think that's a great idea. So you kind of want to talk about the steps you took and how you got to the final end result. So, and using terminology, using the tools that you use so that employers can see that you really know your stuff. Okay. You want, if you have any testimonials from clients, if you've interned anywhere, this is a great place to include it. Always include a link to the live version of the website that you worked on. If you created a website, you can link your screenshot to the live version. Remember, we talked about including links on the Behance website. They have lots of different social media portals that you can include links to. But again, I kind of steer away from the personal side and create more of a graphic design hub, different face, that a more professional face that you want to link it to. You want to give your portfolio a regular spring clean too. So for some of you who've already created a Behance page, who've already been there, done that, you kind of want to resist the temptation to bulk out your design portfolio with old or irrelevant examples of your work, kind of like me, because it's been a while. But having a thorough and kind of ruthless clear out. So you want to get rid of the old and in with the new. So you kind of want to be, every time you put one in, and after you've filled up your portfolio, every time you put a new one in, you kind of want to take one out. Put a new one in, take one out, and just keep the best of the best. Don't leave this until the unavoidable, until you're actually supposed to show your portfolio. Design portfolios need constant attention and grooming. So you never know when you might be called on the present to someone's to a creative director's interview or whatever interview that you're going into, and you don't want to do your spring cleaning then. You kind of want to keep it up to date, constantly keeping it organized and fresh. Any questions so far? All right, pretty straightforward. All right, last slide, and then we'll go to our 10-minute break. Next thing is services. So your tagline sums up what you do. It's the About Me section. You want to go into a little bit more detail, talk about each skill that you offer, each service that you offer. Make it clear, break it down. Are you web design development? Are you videographer? Do you copyright? Is it branding, marketing? What is it that skills do you offer? You want to demonstrate all around experience. Are you only good at illustration or editorial layout? Of course you're not. So you're also a solid communicator who understands budgets and deadlines, as well as the importance of meetings and updates. So these are all professional skills that you're going to want to list. These are keywords that employers are going to be looking for. So make sure that your design portfolio clearly showcases that you possess these. Even if you just simply list them in your notes, this is a great way to kind of get seen for those skills that are hard to display. So you really want to sell yourself. That's the big thing. Think about what other creative talents you might have as well. For instance, if you're a handy photographer or you're very accomplished with coding, why not include examples of your shots or web designs? They're all more strings to your creative bow, and we really want to make sure that you're showcasing and selling yourself. And let's go to the next slide. All right, we talked about the About Me. Just kind of what do you What do you do when you find a particular interesting website or magazine spread or book chapter? Well, you want to save it, right? You want to bookmark it or dog ear it or jot down the page number somewhere. Those viewing your design portfolio by whatever medium, we're going to want to do the same. So make it easy by making sure you organize your pages correctly and have clear project titles for each portfolio example. You want to label, this was my poster design, or this was my ad design, or whatever it is that you designed, or my logo design. You want to label it so that you know what they're looking at. All right, and then in your About Me, let people see the man or the woman behind the mask, behind the website. The more details that you give, the better your users can kind of form a bond and kind of feel like they can trust you. Show a picture of yourself. It's a great way to show how personable you are, and it also puts a name with the face, which kind of gives you an edge. Show off your awards and your recognition here. It's okay to brag in this case. You want to sell yourself, and you can't say enough about yourself. So this is the section that I want to see yourself shine, okay? All right, we're gonna go ahead and take our break. If there are any questions, please just put them in the chat box, and then we will come back in 10 minutes. And when we come back, I'll finish up the slides, and then I'm gonna go into a design tutorial on how to do the poster design again. I have a new design that I want to show you if you're looking for something a little bit more original. I'm also going to show you how to do a sunburst design in Illustrator. I think that would be a cool effect to include and to learn how to do so you can be a little bit more effective in your design. So we'll go ahead and break for just a minute, and we'll see you back. All right, so we are back. Are there any questions before we begin? We're going to shift gears here a little bit. I know I just looked at the clock. We're kind of short on time. So we're going to kind of work in Illustrator today. I'm going to show you how to do a star or sunburst tutorial. And what's cool about this is it will lend for a really cool background for your poster design. So after I do this, if we have time, I'll do a quick poster design for us. But first, let's open up Illustrator. So if you don't already have it opened up, let's get that open. For this tutorial, we're going to use, and I'm just using an 11 by 17 artboard. It really doesn't matter how big your artboard is, but just for this tutorial, we're going to get started. So we're going to grab our ellipse tool. Here's our toolbar. The ellipse tool is found hidden under the rectangle tool. You'll click ellipse tool. Then you'll hold down shift and you'll click and drag. You want a fairly large circle. And you'll see why in just a minute. So I'm just going to move this over here. Once you click and drag, you're going to want to hold shift as you click and drag. Remember, that was kind of my point I was hammering home last week, is hold shift as you click and drag across the stage. This holding the shift key when you create objects constrains the height and the width, and this results to a perfect circle. So you don't get any squished or skewed looking circles. Everything is a perfectly round circle. Then you're going to release the mouse button when the circle, when you draw the circle that you're happy with. So now we have our circle. So let's make its fill to transparent and the stroke to black. So on the bottom of our toolbar, the foreground here is the fill box. So you'll make this transparent by clicking directly underneath it. See that red slash? We don't want any fill, so that says none. And then we're going to switch this curved arrow. We'll switch the fill and the, whoops, not curved arrow. We want to click the stroke button. And this is where we're going to set this to black. So mine's already defaulted. Black is down here. If you wanted to select the black swatch, you could do it here or under your swatches panel, which you see here. Okay, once that's selected to black, from the stroke tab, you're going to make the stroke width about 50 or more. You can check the dashed line. So let's go up here. I've got all my information. So the stroke panel, or you can go to Window, click on Stroke, and it will pull up the stroke panel here. So my weight, I'll make about 50. And then I want to select dashed line. And then change the value of the first dash values as long as the lines are not intersecting. So we don't want them to intersect. Okay. And then remember that that less dash value means narrower rays. So the smaller it is, the more narrow they get. But this looks about right. I like this. So in this tutorial, you can use 8. I use 12. Could use 8. 8 would look like this. There's more of them. I'm going to use 12. Okay. And then let's see what else we're going to need. So it's like, I mean, it's already kind of looking like a starburst as it is, but we're going to make these lines intersect. So now we're going to click Object Expand. So go to Object and Expand Appearance. Object, expand. Okay, and then check the stroke to make sure that its points are editable. If it's not, you'll go to Object, oops, keep it selected, go to Object, Rasterize. Oh, not rasterize, I'm so sorry. Object, expand, there we go. All right, then you will release the compound path. Each one is now editable. You see that? Kind of cool. So we're going to leave it all selected. Keep it selected. From the Tools menu, you're going to click and then hold the Warp tool. The Warp tool. So from the Tools menu, click and then hold. So the Warp tool, it's this one. Oh, that's the Width tool. Sorry. We're going to have to find it. It's hidden. So if you'll notice that at the end of each, the Width tool, so we want the Warp tool. So once you find the Warp tool or the Width tool, you're going to go to the Pucker tool. right there. Sometimes your computer will default the width tool, sometimes it will default the warp tool, but in this case, we just need to find that pucker tool. So the pucker tool looks like this, if you can see, highlighted, okay? And then you're gonna double click on the pucker tool and it will bring up a box that you can enter in your values. So before using this tool, you're gonna wanna double click on it to bring up the values. You don't wanna do anything until you've changed these values. The pucker tool options, you can set the height and width to about 260. Basically, you just want them to be bigger than the inside circle. You want it to be bigger than the inside circle, not the outside. So what we're gonna do is kind of include this, so let's see, not 260, that's in pixels. So let's start with 50, 50. Let's see. Still too small. So the idea here is to make sure that it will overlap the inside circles and not the outside circles. So I need to double click that again, make sure it's about, let's see, let's do 10. Oh, and that one's too large. Kind of a guessing game. Let's try 5 inches. Hit OK. Still slightly small. We'll go to 6 inches for each. Hit OK. There we go. So now, as you can see, it kind of falls right in between the inside points and the outer points. All right. And then if you want to interactively change the radius of the circle, you can just hold down Shift plus Alt and then click and hold your mouse button to make sure that the radius of the pucker tool will only affect the inner points. You click and hold as it drags into the center. You press and hold the left mouse button to kind of bring them in, but as you move them, you can get some interesting shapes. So if you click and hold, just kind of bring it into the center right here. That will create your starburst. There's also, let me grab my pucker tool. You select all of these and hold down your pucker tool. Click and hold. You bring it to the outside, it almost creates like this little shell. That's kind of a cool symbol that you can do. So it's a really fun tool. You can kind of play around with it, experiment with it. Click and hold and release. And then when you're done drawing it, that's all there is to that. So now you've gotten, oh, you do need to make sure you select them all. If you hold Command G or Control G, depending on if you're on a PC or a Mac, you can now group them together so that you can move them around in one unit. You can give it a color, not the stroke, but you can double click the fill box and give it a color like this. So now it's starting to look like an actual starburst. You could even give it a gradient. If you double click it. Okay. Just depends on what you want it to look like. In this case, I'm going to give it a nice gradient here. There you go. And that is your sunburst, okay? So just a few simple steps on how to create vector sun rays. Why am I showing you this? Well, I wanted to also show you and make for a cool background on your Illustrator document. So you hold this and kind of expand this out. Hold down Shift as you bring it in. And this makes for a cool background. And then I'm just adjusting the opacity not the opacity, but the gradient on it. You could adjust the direction of the gradient. And then I'm going to create a simple clipping mask. So by holding down my rectangle tool, clicking and dragging a box to the top left corner all the way to the bottom left corner, I'm going to give this a transparent fill. And then I'm going to select everything and hit Make Clipping Mask. And now that constrains it all into that frame, just like that. All right, so now I can put content on there, and now I can design my poster the way that I want. So one design that I thought was cool, so the designer that I featured last time was Lester Beale. And what he was known for was a lot of, was his content, his agriculture, his real life shots, also black and white images with some pops of color. So in this case, I could change this whole thing. So if you right click on your clipping mask, you can release it, and then you can go and make changes. So in this case, I'm going to do red. Ooh, do not want to do that red. Okay, here we go. Just kind of select it all. There you go. Do red there, and then I can kind of control my gradient. There we go. And then set this to, all right. And now I'm going to highlight everything again, right click, make clipping mask. All right, and then I can grab a shapes tool. You can grab your polygon tool even. Hold, click and drag as you draw something. And then I'm gonna just hover my mouse over the corner anchor point, hold down shift as I rotate. I'm gonna just turn this hexagon around, make it smaller. Oops. I'm going to give it a fill. In this case, it's kind of be dark blue. This was a very American color scheme that was known for Lester Beale. So he did a lot of red, white, black, and blue. So I'm doing this blue to kind of stand out against this red background. And then I'm going to grab the type tool. I'm going to draw text box here. And because you can't see it, it's dark font on a dark color on a dark background. I really want to lighten up that font so that you can see it. I'm going to make the font size a little bigger. And I'm going to make sure that there's some contrast. So this is going to be set to bold. This is going to be, actually I'm going to change the font to Helvetica. Like that. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, so maybe 25. I'm going to center it within my text box here. I want to make sure that my text box is centered with my shape. I want to make sure your smart guides are turned on. And then I'm going to hold down Alt Option and click and drag down below. Just like that. And you'll see what I'm going to do in just a minute. I'll grab my line tool. I'm going to click and drag. This will be up here at the top. I can hit stroke. And then for the stroke color, I'm going to turn, I'm going to do white. And I'm going to hold down Alt Option, click and drag. Just like that. And then this is where you'll put all your information. So again, I don't have the poster info. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Here's the text. So let me grab the text. See if it pulled up. Give me 1 second. There it is. All right, so this is for the event Discovering Design in America. So in this case, Discovering Design in America, I'm going to set it to all uppercase. I'm going to bring these two elements down. Make my line a little bigger since my sentence is a little longer. And then a Graphic Design Odyssey. That'll be all caps. And this one is going to be Helvetica. I'm going to make it nice and big. I'm going to bring up the word graphic design so it's on the same line. I'm going to change this to white. I want to make sure that this text box is centered with my other text, which is centered with my page and my other element. And I'm going to make Odyssey nice and big. There we go. So this is how I'm adding contrast by kind of playing with size a little bit. This line needs to be just as long as my text here. Okay, and with graphic design, I'm going to change that to regular. It's a little bit more contrast. All right, so that's easier to read. Then featuring work by. So what I'm going to do is put this up here. And then I can have my list of people down below. And I don't want to bold everyone or no one's going to stand out. So what I want to do is maybe change this to condensed, maybe? No. I want to change it to, yeah, I guess condensed is probably the right one. All right, perfect. So I've made my headline nice and big, featuring work by, and then here at the bottom, what I'm going to do, grab my rectangle tool, and I'm going to select this red here, or I could even do blue to kind of offset the red background. And then here is where I'm going to put the other information. And I can kind of format my information a little differently. Now I'm going to keep it centered. I'm going to bold it. Look at that. I'm going to center it within that page and make sure my Smart Guide turns on and kind of says, hey, you're centered. I'm going to grab the line tool again. Line tool is great to use when you're trying to divide information, when you're trying to keep elements separate, but still maintain a very clean layout. I'm going to give it a same heavy stroke of 2. It's the same stroke. I want to be consistent with repetition. So my element of repetition are these lines, but they are the same weight that I have up here. So I want to make sure I maintain that throughout my design. Then I'm going to have the dates. I grab the type tool. I'm gonna put the dates in there. And then I'm gonna center this information so it all lines up. I want an even amount of space between the edge of my page as I do the type here. I'm going to grab this visit information. Paste that, turn it white, and then I'm not going to bold this at all. I really want to make sure it's nice and small. Because everything is about the same size, I need to make this website information a lot smaller. Not too small, but it just can't be the star of the show. I'm going to hit enter here. Put a period there. Okay, and then I'm going to hold down the Alt Option button and select this line. Hold down Alt Option, and then you're going to click and drag. Good. All right, so we'll put that there. Got to make sure everything's centered. My lines need to line up. I want an even amount of space. So my smart guides are telling me where I'm lining everything up. All right, so I've got my, I'm going to shift this over a little bit. Okay, so I've got my information there. I've got my information here. If I wanted to add anything extra, I could, but this is a great way to kind of make sure things stand out. Now, I could add pops of color here. See, do a gray to kind of make things stand out. I could make this a different color. Kind of a gray to offset all that white and red. You can kind of play around with colors, but you really want to make sure everything stands out the way it should. But kind of see how I grouped my information. So my headline is the largest element on the page. Then I've got my contact information. I've also got the name of the location and the date. So everything is grouped together, very clean, very nice. And I've got hierarchy here. I've got different font weights. I've got font sizes. I've got elements of repetition, a really interesting background, which I just showed you how to create. So this is a neat way to kind of jumpstart your poster design if you're wanting, if you haven't already done it. Another design I'd like to show you is a simple one. So I'll just add another page here. I'll just move this over. We'll keep that design. Okay, so another one that I want to do is kind of show you, if you draw some thick rectangles and you want to give it a fill and take off the stroke. Okay, we don't want a stroke for this. For this one, all right, we'll give it more of a hot pink color. I'm going to rotate, or actually, yeah, I'm going to rotate this. Hold down Shift. I'm going to bring it over here, just so it kind of hangs off of this a little bit. Hold down Alt Option. I'm going to kind of click and drag so that it's kind of centered over the page. I'm going to extend this one a little bit more. Hold down Alt Option. I'm going to click and drag. I want the same amount of space between these, so you're going to rely on your smart guides to kind of point out where that is. Okay. And then for this one, I'm going to do a lighter color in the center because I want to be able to see my text over it. And then I'll grab my rectangle frame. So I'll grab the rectangle tool, I'll click and drag over my artboard, over all the elements. Make sure the fill is set to transparent, right click, arrange, bring to front. We want to make sure it's on the frontmost layer. Highlight all the elements on the page, right click, and go to make clipping mask. I showed you guys how to do this last week, so this is just a little refresher course. But if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, you can always pause and rewind. Okay, so the idea here is to kind of see if we can fill the elements on the page a little bit. There we go. So I've got some even spacing here. And then what I'm going to do is add my text. So if you had more of a psychedelic layout going on, there's some other ways you could lay out your text. So just simply put, since we have these dark backgrounds, the only dark font that's really going to work with this is black. So this is where you'll put the font. And I'm going to do this in black. Make sure it's black. I'm going to left align this, and I'm going to change it to a heavy. I'm going to make sure it's, or actually let's do medium condensed and then a large font. We don't want to break off any words or break up any words. We don't want anything like that. So what we're going to do is kind of bring this in and over. I'm going to select bold condensed. Kind of bring it in. There we go. Kind of tighten the leading there. And I want the majority of the text on the lighter background because it's going to be very hard to read. So we want to make sure we preserve that. Okay, next thing. Could even make this a little bigger. Let's try it again. Let's go a little larger. The larger it is, the more readable it will be on this big background. This busy background, I should say. All right, just like this. And I want to start contrast from the bold to the light. Perfect. Okay, and then at the bottom is where I could even put my information. So the date, featuring work by, I could do something cool here up at the top. I definitely want to feature it where it will best be read. Arrange, bring this to the front. Now line this up with the bottom of that headline. Or I could put it, let's see, where would it best be? probably in this white here. There we go. And then just so that it's not so left and right heavy, what I'm going to do is put the information, the date and the website here at the bottom. Just like that. Okay. I want to make sure you can read it, so I might need to widen my rectangle a little bit. You just double click it so you could enlarge it a little bit. This will allow me to move this over. So you can kind of see that. You can even make it larger so it stands out a little bit more. Just like this. And then you can put your website here at the bottom. Or it could be black, and you could move it over to the other side, onto the white. But the idea here is we want to line it all up if we can. And I don't really like that, so what we're going to do is kind of just have it go across the bottom here. Like that. I actually liked it when it was in the pink. Anyways, you can play around with it. If it really is bothering, this is kind of bothering me, I'm going to kind of extend this out. There we go. Ah, it makes it look a lot better. I'll kind of bring it over, even amount of space. This I could stand to make bigger. I could even bring this down. I think it adds balance though if we put it up to the top there. And in this case, I'm not going to bold this. There we go. I could even highlight the dates in the yellow to kind of add some color to it so it's not all white. Could just have this run on the right hand side all the way at the bottom. Just like that. And I'll show you what else you could do. You could grab that nifty little starburst that you created. You can kind of put it in your design. Just change the opacity. And I'm just going to bring this to the front so you can see it. that's kind of a fun way to kind of offset it. But yeah, this is another way you could design it. So there's lots of different ways that you can tackle this project, but I want you, depending on what historical era that you designed in. But after this, you will need to submit a PDF. So I was going to show you different ways that you can submit, how to create the file extensions. So what you're going to do is first you'll need to save it, and then you're going to go to File, Export, Save for Web. So if you go to Save for Web, this will allow you to save a JPEG. I'll bring up this dialog box here, and then you can just select a medium or small is fine, medium or low for a JPEG. You don't need it to be very high. And then you just hit Save. That will create your JPEG. When you're creating your PDF, you're going to go to File. You could save a copy. Down here under Format is where you're going to select the PDF. So you want Adobe PDF. You'll give it a name and then hit Save. It will ask you a bunch of questions like, do you want to preserve the editing capabilities? You'll deselect that. You don't need that because you're going to have an Illustrator file already. You're going to go to the Adobe PDF presets, and here's where you're going to want to select smallest file size. So you'll click smallest file size. The thing with this is that some of the students that had submitted their work for assignment 3, their poster work, the files were so big, it took me almost an hour just to download that one assignment. So I'm sure it took a while to upload too. So it'll mean a quicker upload process for you and a faster download process for me. So just make sure it's the smallest file size. We don't need a very high-res PDF. Now, if you're going to send to the printer, definitely you want the highest quality print you can get. But for now, we just need smallest file size, and then you'll hit Save PDF. Okay? Are there any questions about the poster designs, about how I got a certain effect? As you can see, there's a lot of different options. We just want to make sure we're capturing the design elements. I want to see you implementing those. I want to see spacing, repetition, content, repetition, alignment, proximity, all of those elements those design principles that we talked about. If there aren't any questions, the last thing that I wanted to share with you, going to be on our PowerPoint. I did want to mention our multi-session has been rescheduled, so we will not be holding our multi-session on Thursday at the normal time. I had a scheduling conflict, and I hate rescheduling multi-sessions, but tomorrow is when we'll have our multi-session. So tomorrow at 7:30 to 9:30 Mountain Standard Time. That's in the evening, same time as our lectures are usually held. And we will, hopefully it'll be better for you because it'll be right after our lecture. If you have questions, you can come in a lot sooner to get help instead of waiting till the end of the week. And then, but hopefully you come in Wednesday. I'll send out an email to remind everybody. So Wednesday, we're holding our multi-session, not on Thursday. All right, and then I will be posting the learning coach, DJ Smith. Her information will be going into the announcement section of the course homepage, and then her schedule will change. It does change week to week, so her schedule will be different from last week. So I'll post her hours and her schedule. So if you need any help on these assignments, please go visit her, contact her. Also, the Student Success Center, if you need any help at all, I recommend that you go there as well, because the Student Success Center is where the tutors are kind of standing by to help you. You can ask any questions. If our schedules conflict, or if you can't get a hold of me, or we're not able to meet up and you need more immediate assistance, please go there. The tab is on the course homepage as well. All right, so the last thing I wanted to show, I wanted to talk about a blog. I don't know if any of you blog. Do you guys blog? Do you have blogs out there? Blogging is a great way to kind of get your name out there. A lot of times, I know I've got lots of family members that blog. So if you don't blog, this is kind of an interesting concept. Blogging is usually on the personal side. It's kind of a journal. It's kind of interesting things that are happening, or you probably blog about things that matter the most to you. But blogs can kind of serve a really a really good purpose when you're hunting for a job. When you blog about an area of expertise, something that you know a lot about, this kind of allows you to talk about what you know, and it not only showcases your writing and grammar skills, but it also shows that you are kind of an expert in that particular topic. You're writing about things you know. For instance, if you wanted to start a graphic design blog, you could talk about graphic design trends, things that we're talking about in the discussions. You can even turn your discussion posts into topics for a blog. It'd be very interesting. You could show images, you could talk about these things. You can let people follow you by subscribing to an RSS feed and showing off your most popular blog posts to new readers. There's lots of blogs out there, free blogs that you can set up your own personal blog and kind of turn that into something for your career. So that's a really interesting way to kind of get your word out there. You kind of develop your own little personal byline. If people want to see your writing skills, you could just refer them to your blog. It's really be a really great way to kind of practice what you're learning and also showcase what you know. We're not going to talk about this because that's for web design. Again, I want to emphasize the importance of using social networking websites. Make it clear that people can follow you on Twitter, Facebook. Do you have Twitter and Facebook? Are you guys on Flickr or LinkedIn or any of those social media posts? What's like the most popular one these days? I don't know if anybody's doing Facebook anymore. I know businesses take advantage of Facebook a lot. Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn is huge in the professional world because that's just where all the professionals go and you kind of link up with each other, kind of see who is who in the business world. Facebook is great for businesses. I'm personally not on Twitter, so I don't tweet, but my husband does, and so that's it's another way that you can kind of get your word out there. Yeah, I don't use LinkedIn. I haven't used LinkedIn in quite a bit, in a while. But when you're hunting for a job, it's very interesting because you can kind of see who's connected. You can look up your employer or that business. You can see if you know anybody who is connected with them at all, and that what that does is it kind of gives you an edge in just having any sort of contact with anybody that you're applying for really helps you land jobs a lot better and quicker than those who don't have any connections. So it's all about who you know, not always about what you know. So make the most of the social networks and have a group of friends to call on if you need. This is the more you can get yourself exposed, the better. This is a great way to showcase that. Language and communication. Be friendly and personal because this is going to be the face. This is your face that people see. But be clear and precise. Don't ramble on. Be very succinct and very short and sweet, but also be approachable. So once you write all the text for your About Me section, you're going to want to read it again and see if you can cut it in half. Employers don't have all day to read essays about who you are, but you want to just highlight those important points, those important skill sets that you do have, okay? Web portfolios, just let people know where you're from. That's important. If you're going to be building professional websites for clients, then you kind of want to make sure that you own the website's code. But for your portfolio, all you need is to use that Behance link. That's all you'll need. Link images, not just text. People love to see features of your work. And then if you don't have any previous clients, since we're all students here, for your portfolio, just remember to save your school presentation, save your schoolwork, and use that. But like I said, when you get something new in, you'll take something old out. We're just going to constantly cycle through. All right, that's all we have time for today. Are there any questions before we close? If there are no questions, we'll go ahead and end our meeting. Thank you for coming. Please remember you can always reach out to me via email and then I will try my best to get back to you as quickly as possible. I hope you have fun with these last two assignments. I had fun teaching you. It's been a blast. This has been an awesome mod. You guys have been awesome students. Please put the pedal to the metal and get your late work in and any current assignments that you need in. This is our last week. Do those daily questions, those daily checkpoints, and please participate in the discussion because those are the only things that can't be made up late. So thank you. Have a great night. We'll see you later.